Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour right here on A2DRadio.com. We are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidale. You can find him in Princeton, Cherry Hill, Burlington, New Jersey. Every once in a while, you get a physical pain that's bothering you, that's stinging you a little bit. Sometimes also, you just need to relax. Specialized Physical Therapy. They're the ones who are going to take care of that for you. And you can make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Dr. Paul Vidal, he'll take care of you. And today on the show, we officially have arrived. We've seen the draft come and go, and now it's free agency time. And it has been wacky, wild, and out of control in a lot of ways. I am Massasoudi, along with the Dark Wing, Brian Daly.
What up, dude? Some of these moves that have happened over the last week, there's been some interesting moves from some teams that we didn't, at least I didn't expect to be busy.
Yeah. Oh, man, we've already got love coming in here. We've got Don saying, "What's up, fellas?" Hi, Don.
Don, I bet you're happy after free agency, because if I was a Red Wings fan, I'd be excited too.
Oh, the Red Wings, they have been very active. Yeah, very, very much. Got Ricky215 saying, "Hey, boys." What's up, Ricky?
What up, Ricky?
And we got Sal Cheech chiming in. Howdy, scumbags. How's it going?
Sal? I like being a scumbag. It's fun.
Yeah, that's where all the fun happens. Yeah. Chicks dig scumbags. At least that's what they say. But anyway. Already. Yep. And Don saying, "It's Stevie we trust." All right. Ladies and gentlemen, today we start off with the free agency. And I know that good old Brian Daly on over here, he's got himself that nice little list of some big free agency signings and a few trades that happened just recently. Yeah.
The list stay little.
But before we dive into that, hit up the Twitter poll question to start things off with. And that is, the Flyers don't need to go get a big-name free agent. Agree or disagree? Where do you stand on that topic, Bri?
I agree. You don't need you don't need to go out there and make a splash, get a big name. And I got a couple reasons why. And I've been seeing in a lot of groups that, why isn't Fletcher doing anything? Why isn't Fletcher doing anything? Here's why. One, you have two players coming back this year that could make an impact into this roster. So you have Nolan Patrick, who's coming back, who played a scrimmage today, who looked really, really good, and he's feeling good. So he's probably going to be ready to go for camp. Then you have Oscar Lindblom, who's going to be able to get a full training camp under his belt and actually being an effective player. And he's going to be able to spend the time training and getting ready for camp. And you're going to see a different player from the player you saw in the playoffs because he's going to be ready to go. Reason number two, the cap. It's a flat cap, which means you got to be real conservative about, where you're spending money. And I know there's, with Niski retiring, you got a spot to fill. And I think they did that signing Eric Gustafsson. And I'll get a little more into him a little bit later on. But then you also have Max Friedman, who's available to take a spot as well. You want to try and see what you have with these young guys. The one thing that people don't seem to realize is, you might not be able to sign a free agent or the free agent that you want, but you can always make a trade if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. And for me, I agree as well on the whole poll. And Brodo is saying disagree with hashtags in front of all three. But I will say I agree. And the reason why is we have the pieces here. It's not like we're a team that, we're missing pieces or that we're still in that transitional period. We've got plenty of talent. The question is,
Jake.
What's up, boys? I strongly disagree to the poll. I don't feel like we need to go and get a big-name free agent. And like you were saying, I'm more worried about signing the younger players than keeping someone who is supposedly going to be the piece that's going to get us over that hump.
And Maddie. That's reason number 3. Because you have, I believe after this year, 2 of the bigger RFAs coming up for the Flyers, Carter Hart Travis Sanheim. You can't let those two get away. You gotta be able to have the money to give Carter Hart the big contract that he's gonna be looking for. You want to give him. He's probably going to be asking for somewhere between $6 and $8 million. To be completely honest, because he's a top tier RFA. So the thing that he's going to be looking for is a big, long contract.
Oh yeah, it's a big boy contract.
It's a big boy. He's playing like a big boy. He deserves a big boy contract. He's a franchise goaltender. He's shown that he's got the work ethic, the mindset to be that number one, to be that next Marty Brodeur that they're expecting him to be. You're going to have to pay him. And the Flyers have some money, but you need to save up the money for your young guns. Because at one point, you're going to have to sign Farabee. You're going to have to sign Frost. And I'm seeing all the comments with the disagrees. Like I get Wilson's. What's up, Wilson? You need a goal scorer. I agree. I think you may already have a couple in the system. Tyson Forrester has already signed a contract. He could be your sniper. You have Morgan Frost, who's a goal scorer. You have Wade Allison, who's a goal scorer. You got guys in the system. You can't clog up the pipeline with.
Watch it, Don. Watch it.
You need a goalie. You can't clog up the system and block these young players by bringing in guys who, and a lot of the names that I'm seeing is guys like Matt Martin.
And here's the thing too, like you said before, if it doesn't work out, there is the trade possibility. But also too, and keep in mind too, this team is only just starting to find its footing as a top competitor in the East. It's not like we were the Lightning, where we've been competing for years and we couldn't get the job done until obviously just this past playoff.
And they lost a couple pieces.
Yeah, that's a totally different story. That's a different ballpark, and that's the thing. And I get it. There's a lot of people who were pissed off about how the playoffs ended, and they really were frustrated by that. I still think that that's where a lot of this is coming from. They weren't exactly impressed by the Flyers' performance during this year's playoff run. But again, it's another one of those calm down, relax. Rome wasn't built in a day. It wasn't. And on top of that as well, you got to keep this in mind. I won winners. But the thing is that
I don't blame them. I'm the same way. It's frustrating because I'm cheering for a team that's in the middle of a rebuild. And we're probably not going to be competitive for 2 to 3 years. I get it.
And he's saying, hey, sorry to bother you at work. This is no need to make a big splash in free agency. We don't have the cap to sign one as of right now. But if you traded for a particular Finnish sniper from a city up north, but we also have the young guns to step up.
Lonnie ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry.
Well, no, not anymore.
They got his buddy back, so he's going to stay put. He'll put up some numbers this year.
Well, once Stastny came back, I was like, all right, that's it. The Lonnie shit's over with. And when I had looked at rumors and I heard that TK was on the trading block or whatever, I'm pretty sure that that's what they were offering to try and get Lonnie. But then at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. You're just trading a sniper for a sniper. It's like it's not worth winning if you can't win big. I see what you're doing.
Oh, shit. Always with the Mighty Ducks quotes. I love it.
Just because you're here.
I like to see him do more in his shows, too. I'm just, throwing ideas out there. But, I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, Maddie, because you know what? Let's be real. Once they got the number one seed in the playoffs, expectations skyrocketed. And I know a lot of people were saying Stanley Cup or bust. Let's be there's
always going to be those people.
Right. There's still a lot of players on this team that still have some growing pains to go through. The roster wasn't exactly healthy. No. We're going to see some moves made. What? Not really sure. I mean, with Anaheim, we literally have zero cap. We went out and signed Kevin Shattenkirk and Derek Grant, which I'm excited about. And I put the cap to zero. But luckily, we'll free up 6.6 once we put Kessler on the LTIR. But point being is there's growing pains with young players. I get guys want to win. But the Flyers are just starting something really special, and it's going to last for a long time because they are doing a very good job at building the farm system. You may not need to make a free agent splash every year. And Fletcher
No.
even has come out and said he's not making a splash. He's not signing anybody big because he wants to save the money for all the young guns that are going to be coming up that he wants to keep around. And I don't blame him.
And I had said, and you're right, I had said before that maybe Fletcher's just saying that so that people would like, this is what I'm planning on doing, but in reality, he's going to do something. If we were going to do anything,
yes, cloak and dagger.
If we were going to do anything, it would have been the Laine trade. But since that's not happening now, I really don't see that. I really don't see him doing anything. Plus, also, let's pull us back a little bit and let's do a little history lesson. Remember back when there wasn't a salary cap? And remember when several teams in the league were trying to build all-star teams to go win Stanley Cups? Well, the Flyers were one of them. And Greg's saying, I #disagree to the poll, but understand it's not going to happen. We don't have a whole lot of cap space and flexibility to really do a lot. Getting Patrick back, who apparently looked good at the scrimmage today, Nosker back is going to be a huge addition without doing anything. And you are correct.
And exactly. That's spot on, Greg.
But think about it, though. Back in the day when there was no salary cap, how many teams tried to stack the deck with all-star teams? Almost any one of them that was competing for a cup and hadn't gotten one yet. And guess what? You know where that eventually led us? It led us to 2007. And then we revamped the team in 2008 with a whole bunch of trades and a whole bunch of signings with some big deals. Then after that got us to 2010. And then the wheels started to fall off. And the first sign was in 2011 when we got swept by Boston. Then 2012, we revamped the roster again, only because we were trying to get Ilya Bryzgalov, and that's what happened. Then 2012 happened. We got that big win against Pittsburgh, but we absolutely laid a big old turd against the Devils. And then one year we missed. Then we came back. Then again and again. We were so mediocre, so in the middle. The chances of us recreating that 2010 run were very, very slim. Especially considering the fact that look at the teams that were coming up in the East at that time. I mean, hell, I don't even think the Capitals had hit their stride yet by the time we were in that position. And it's just one of those perfect examples of this was a team that went down that path once, and it didn't result in a cup. It didn't. The closest we got was 2010, and we lost.
This comment right here by Sal. That's good shit there. That's using your brain there, Sal. I love it.
I don't understand Flyers fans. We finally have young guns ready to step in, and people want to blow up because of the cap space on nobodies. Look at the JVR signing and the Voracek contract. That shit is killing us, and you're correct. And by the way, that was going to be my second point. We need to get rid of people. We can't, like, in my opinion, that should be priority one with a fucking bullet, is getting rid of that contract like JVR's, getting rid of a contract like Shane Gostisbehere's. Voracek, take or leave, is it going to kill me if he goes? No, but I still think he can contribute something to the team. As Sal said, don't we have a buyout money coming off the books soon for AMAC and somebody else? I'm not sure.
I think it's AMAC and crap, I can't remember who the other one was, but I know who you're talking about, Sal. Yeah, they should be coming off the books very I think in the next year.
I think it's Briz. I think we still have to pay Briz. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because he had a 9-year contract. Prism, what's up, dude?
Say it ain't so, Jumbo Joe.
He's playing over in Europe right now, which is actually kind of weird.
Yeah, that is. He's a good player, but $8.9 million. All right, I'll agree. That is a high. That was a high. That's a high price tag. I'll give you that one.
I mean, I get Sal's point there, but at the time he's coming off the best year of his career, and his agent's demanding top dollar, and he got it. And he's a consistent 60, 70 point guy. He's not going to be that guy that's getting. And he's getting paid to be an 80, 90, maybe pushing 100-point guy, but it is what it is. And you know what? Voracek has always been that guy he shows up every game. He may not always be the best player on the ice, but he shows up and he works hard.
Yeah.
What's up, Chucks?
Hey, Chucks, what's going on, man? Anthony also said, hey, girls. Hey, Anthony, how's it going, buddy?
I ain't no girl. You better stop it.
And Ducks sign a good player in Shattenkirk.
He made 2 good signings, bro. Derek Grant, too. Can't sleep on Granny.
And Sal was saying he
Flyers
does
let him get
hustle.
away.
What, Shattenkirk?
No, Grant. You guys had Grant locked up.
Well,
I honestly thought he was going to be more of a fan favorite here.
Well, maybe the Flyers offered him something, and maybe the Ducks offered him more, and he just decided to come back. Maybe he just missed the beaches and the palm trees. I don't blame him. So he just wanted to go back. I mean, I think
it's kind of funny that he goes to Anaheim, gets traded to Nashville, goes back to Anaheim, gets traded somewhere else, goes back to Anaheim, gets traded to Philadelphia, goes back to Anaheim again. He must really love Southern California if that's the case.
Yeah, Grant was good, but his heart was in Anaheim.
Oh, absolutely.
You know that song,
absolutely.
Left My Heart in San Francisco? His is I Left My Heart in Anaheim.
Absolutely. And you know what? I love him. I think he's a great player. I shouldn't say he's a great role player, great bottom six guy, versatile in the center and the wing, works hard, blue-collar player. Love having him back.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, though, he was a strong depth player that we had as a rental. You can find other players like that. That's not going to kill you at the end of the day.
Oh, agreed.
And, I mean, he was good, though. He was good for, and the particular favorite moment from him when he was a Flyer was that game against the Rangers, and he scored almost 3 goals. He almost had a hat trick that night.
I kept a close eye on D. Grant. Don't worry.
I'm sure you did. Just like you did with what's-his-face who went to Boston, and then all of a sudden you were pissed that he was scoring goals out of nowhere.
Yeah, but you know what? He didn't do shit after that game.
No, he did not. But also another player we did lose Tyler Pitlik. That one kind of stung a little bit because, damn, I actually really did like Pitlik, But, again, it's another one of those, you know what? He earned that contract. He played very well for the Flyers in the fourth line. So, hey, man, have fun out there in the desert. Hopefully they pay you well,
Yeah, I liked Pitlik. He was another fan favorite, blue-collar guy, and that's something the Flyers fans truly enjoy are the guys that are going to go out there and be relentless and fight for every inch and be physical and battle. And that's Tyler Pitlik's game, and that's – it's no question why he was liked here and people wanted him back. And I don't think he's making that much. I got to look at my list here. He's down towards the bottom. Oh, never mind. 2 years, 3.5. So it's not a terrible contract.
What energy drink you drinking there, Bri? Tom wants to know.
V8 Energy. Why? I'm hyped up, man. It's free agency.
Birdo?
Of course, he's drinking V8. Of course. I'm just gonna go away. Are we kidding?
It's what I always drink.
I wouldn't say that out loud.
Well, I distinctly remember you had some Mountain Dews back in the day, and you spilled one on the air.
That was not my fault. And I stopped drinking those when my hands started going like this consistently. I still drink them once in a while, but not often.
Tom saying a little V8, I just threw up. And Greg saying, who drinks V8?
First of all, it's not like that V8 tomato juice. It's black cherry. Tastes a little bit like cough syrup, but not much.
Tom said I tasted that one time and threw it away.
To each his own. I'd rather drink that than Bang, to be honest.
I see that every time I'm at work. And I'm just
the good thing about Bang is it actually gives you legit energy. It's depending on the one you get, you're putting creatine into your body, and that's not good. Creatine's water weight.
Get some mellow yellow flow through. Oh my god, that's great. Tom saying it's horrendous.
To each his own.
And Bang is delicious. Watch your mouth.
To each his own. It's all good.
All right, so let me see here.
Love you guys.
I don't think I would ever be able to drink that kind of energy. I don't really drink energy drinks anyway, but if I couldn't drink Bang for one reason because it's borderline pornographic the moment that you say Bang. Maybe I just have a filthy mind, but still. Anyway.
Creatine makes you strong.
But
it's also water weight, bro. You're putting a lot of water weight on.
Oh, my God. All right, let me see here.
Creatine helps build muscle, but there's a lot of water weight in creatine. So
let me see here. Okay, so Don has the comment of, man, the Blues really overpaid Torrey Krug. Sheesh.
Overpaid? I don't know. I don't know if I would say overpaid. All right, fair enough. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one, Tommy. As far as Krug, I don't know if they necessarily overpaid him. I think they were trying to make a statement to Shatty, or not Shattenkirk. That was a while ago. To Pietrangelo and letting him know, saying, "Hey, you had your shot. Later."
Did you say water weight? Who cares about water weight?
I did say water weight. It's not the same. If you're trying to get stronger, you want muscle mass, not water weight.
But the whole Torrey Krug, kind of situation for me, I would say here's the problem. It was kind of the same thing with Kevin Hayes. When you want to get someone who's a free agent and they want to get max money and they've got some ability to strong arm you, they're going to do it every time. Mm-hmm. So the Blues wanted Torrey Krug, and he said, "Okay, you're giving me max money then." Or at least you give me somewhere close to it for me.
Well, I think it was the other way around. I think the Blues wanted Pietrangelo. They never wanted him to leave. And I don't necessarily think he wanted to leave, but they wanted him at a reasonable contract. And they gave Torrey Krug the contract they wanted to give Pietrangelo, but Pietrangelo wanted a raise.
Gotcha.
He wanted to make more than 6.5, and I think Krug got somewhere around like 6.5, 6.75, something along those lines.
Which doesn't surprise. Which was kind of funny when Vegas wound up getting him. I'm thinking, wait a minute, doesn't Vegas have like no fucking cap? And then all of a sudden, then I saw, but they traded Schmidt. Okay, I see what they did.
They traded, so what wound up happening? And we might as well just start jumping into the list now. We'll start with number one, which is obviously Alex Pietrangelo going to the Vegas Golden Knights on a 7-year, $8.8 million contract. That's going to be his annual cap hit. So when that happened, that put the Vegas Golden Knights over the cap, I believe, by like $8 million or somewhere along those lines, $6 to $8 million. So in turn, they had to make a move to obviously get back under the cap before the season starts. So what they did instead was trade Nate Schmidt, which I thought was a necessary move. Big contract, frees up a spot for Pietrangelo. You don't have to worry about, one of your top two guys getting top 4 minutes when he doesn't deserve it. So you trade him to Vancouver where he can be a top two. You get a third in return. You're one, freeing up cap space, and two, you're freeing up that top two space for Pietrangelo.
Yeah. It's a good move for them, and I think the Knights just got that much better. So, I mean, the Knights pretty much, they're trying to make moves because they definitely are a team that, when you look at them, that's what they're trying to do because they're the team they've been there. They lost in the first round. They got to the Western Conference Finals this year, and because they didn't take Dallas all that seriously, they paid the price for that, and now they're going to be like, okay, we're going to go get Pietrangelo. But, that's Vegas for you. They come in right out of nowhere and snag shit from you.
I mean, I don't blame them. They're trying to win a cup, and they've been so close pretty much every year that they've been in existence so far. And, one of the things one of their thought problems was defense, and they felt like they needed to shore it up. You go out and you get their fourth captain on the roster.
Yeah.
Talk about a lot of leadership. But you got Pietrangelo, who's now going to be your leader on the defense. He just won a cup with St. Louis, not obviously last year, but the year before. So he's got the experience, and, he's a guy that can help settle everything in and be a positive voice in the locker room come playoff time.
Yeah, absolutely.
On top of his production, which is, you don't really need to talk about it because it's there. You don't have to worry about it because he's a 50, 60-point guy.
I mean, I guess at this point we can already crown Vegas the Pacific Division champs. But then again, who knows? Maybe somebody snags it out of nowhere, but I'm pretty sure Vegas has a very strong case of having that title.
I mean, we'll talk about that a little later on because there's a couple other moves that we need to talk about that could affect the Pacific Division.
True, that is true. Anthony, by the way, he said, I was surprised that Niskanen retired. I was surprised too, only because he's not really all that old,
33. He's younger than I am.
Yeah. And so I was really shocked. I mean, yeah, obviously when you start going north of 30 in the hockey world, some people start, okay, get the stopwatch out. We'll see how long they got left. But, for me, I just thought, wow, I really thought Niskanen would be here for at least at most like 2-3 years. But I did not expect it to just be one. But, hey, you know what? I'm looking at it this way. Hopefully he taught a lot to Provy. And he had a flyer moment in the postseason. He broke Brendan Gallagher's jaw. So, quite frankly, I got everything I wanted out of that. So, there you go, Niskanen.
I can't listen. If I'm Brendan Gallagher, I'm just laughing at that because we'll talk about why.
Yeah, yeah.
So, with Niski, I think I respect him more.
How do you give up 5.75?
I mean, I don't know, but
I would.
I respect him more for knowing that, his time was done at 33 instead of just going through the motions, you know what I mean? Like, put a guy that wants to play and has that drive into his spot instead of just a guy who lost the love, lost the drive, going through the motions. I'd rather see that than, he knows he's done. He knows he's done. He's got no love left, and he'd rather see another guy in that spot, and I don't blame him. I respect him for that.
I mean, I don't want to see.
Me too, Tana.
You're right.
I can't wait either. It's exciting. I'm not even a full-fledged Fire fan, and I'm excited to see what the roster is going to look like next year. And
yeah,
there's
a lot to be excited about. And Carter Hart, the GOAT. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the major reasons to be excited. And I mean,
he's going to get a big payday after this year.
Oh, he is all right.
He's going to get a big payday.
I will say this too, and it's a good point that I wouldn't want Niski out there if he really doesn't have the passion for it, because it's like, okay, then he's just collecting a paycheck and he's phoning it in, and it's like you don't want that person. Yeah, you don't want that person. Yeah, because he's leading your defense. You don't want that kind of person leading your defense. But see here. So, Sal says, I'm wondering where all these players are going to develop if there is no AHL games this year. Well, for some, they have junior hockey that they can fall back on. Europe is another option. And then it is kind of weird that, there's probably not going to be an AHL season. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe they'll work something out. But at the end of the day, though, it's going to be kind of weird to not have the Phantoms going along at the same time the Flyers are.
He brings up a valid point, but, I don't know. I follow a couple different pages on Facebook to get some hockey stuff, and this one I follow is Complete Hockey News. They do a great job of keeping up with all the news going on, and you're seeing a lot of affiliates loaning all their younger players, even some of them are older if you're Joe Thornton, over to European teams until the season starts. So they'll get to play and develop there.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but at least they're playing.
But in a way, that may actually also help kind of train them to, what a European-style hockey is, so that way they're used to European players when they come over here. So there's a way to learn from that as well and apply it to when you come back. Greg's saying, I know Niski freed up some cap space, but after the Gustafsson signing, what are we left with?
Brodie, can you look that up? I can't really do that at the moment, otherwise I would. I would probably say somewhere around 5 to 6, 4 to 6, somewhere in that ballpark.
I'll take a look. I'll see what I can find here.
That would be my guess.
So
but it's not a lot. I know that.
Let's see here. So let me see here. So currently, right now, 2021 NHL salary cap for $6 million. So we currently have $71 million tied up in contracts. The ceiling is $81 million. So, not great at math. So, what?
So 10?
Seems like
81, right?
Yeah, it seems like that's what it is right here from what I'm reading.
I don't feel like that's right.
I'm gonna double check because I'm gonna go to Cap Friendly just to be 100% sure on that
Yeah,
because they're usually pretty accurate.
They'll give you the actual number.
Okay, projected. Okay, this is much better. Projected cap space is $5 million.
That's it. Yeah. All right. That sounds about right.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's not a lot. Like I said, I was saying, Greg, you gotta save some money for these young guys because, like I said, if my math is right, you got two big RFAs coming up after this year, and that's Carter Hart and Travis Sanheim, and you got to keep money for them. You're gonna have to keep money for Farabee and Frosty and any of the other young guys that you want to keep around.
And hence why you got to get rid of JVR and Shane Gostisbehere and players like that because you need to get the money available to pay these guys.
I mean, I don't think you're moving JVR unless he goes in the expansion draft over the next summer. So I don't see him going anywhere. Voracek probably isn't going to go anywhere, and then Giroux will be off the books, and I think not after this season, but after the next, and then Giroux's would be considered off the books. But I'm sure they'll try and re-sign him to a more affordable deal, I would say. I think he winds up staying a Flyer for his career.
I could see it happening. I think
a lot of people aren't going to like that, but
no, a lot of people are probably. It's going to be a very controversial decision the day he signs on the dotted line on that deal.
All right, so let's move on the list here.
Sure.
So number 2, this is in no particular order, by the way. Number 2, I just kind of went in order of who I remembered got signed. Is Wayne Simmonds signing with the Toronto Maple Leafs on a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. Don't really need to go too crazy into this. Simmonds just wants to play in Toronto before he retires, and I think he retires in the next year or two. So I think he just wants one season in Toronto. He actually got offered more money by Montreal, but still wound up signing in Toronto, so that's got to say something. Number 3 here. I want to go a little bit more into depth in this one. One of Don's new guys, Bobby Ryan, signed with the Detroit Red Wings on a 1-year, $1 million contract. Contract was pretty much exactly what I thought it'd be. Prove it deal.
Yep.
The wasn't expecting him to go to Detroit. And I know a lot of people it's an interesting move. So I know a lot of people were, after hearing that he had, said, "Hey, Philly, I want to come play for you." A lot of people wanted Bobby Ryan, and for him to go to Detroit is a little interesting. What do you think, Matty?
I think honestly, at the end of the day, maybe he just honestly didn't get any feelers back from Philly. I mean, maybe the fans wanted him, but maybe the organization just felt like, nah, we're not feeling Bobby Ryan because we just don't know what he's going to bring to the team. So they just didn't want to take a chance on him even for a year. Detroit, they're a rebuilding squad, and so they're not all that afraid of taking any gambles at this point because they're still building towards what they're eventually going to be. So might as well take the opportunity there.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit for Detroit for ticket sale reasons. But, I think it's a great move by Detroit, to be completely honest with you, because I think now that he's clean and sober, you're going to see the Bobby Ryan you saw in Anaheim, your 20 to 30 goal guy who is going to spark a lineup and have a couple of clutch goals here and there. And I think that's something I wanted to see in Philadelphia because obviously we knew he wasn't coming back to Anaheim. I wanted to see it in Philadelphia firsthand again, just to be able to sit there and say I can watch Bobby Ryan all over again. And just to see where he is, because you saw towards the end of his contract in Ottawa, towards the end of last season, that you saw he was starting to put everything back together. And that says something huge to me because you saw with Mike Richards. When he was here, he may not have been completely sober, but he had his game together, right?
Yeah.
And he played well. Goes out to LA, and he runs into an issue. And ever since that issue going out to LA, you kind of saw his game plummet.
Yeah.
And now he got a second chance in Washington, and obviously didn't pan out to much. I'm hoping for way different from Bobby, because, like I said, towards the end of the season, you saw him starting to put it together. I mean, he had a hat trick in his first game back. Cromer, what's up, brother? He had a hat trick in his first game back. Like, that's awesome. And I hope to see more going forward. I think he gets middle six time in Detroit and gets a lot of ice time. I think you see the 20-30 goal scorer Bobby Ryan used to be again. So I got nothing but I'm hoping for nothing but the best for him in Detroit.
And to be honest, too, even if he doesn't wind up, doing anything crazy, even if he has like a decent season, that's not bad, because you're dealing with a guy who is coming off of being irrelevant, and that was only because of the demons he had off the ice. Even if he comes back and he's playing like a strong Twilight player, not to say that he is, but
close.
But still, even if he has a strong enough season to where it's like, okay, that's not a bad year for somebody of his caliber, then that actually says a lot more to his ability than even if he went out and scored 30 goals, honestly. Because on a team like Detroit, where there's a good chance they may not make it, it won't kill him to have a pretty decent year. And he's saying the Wings had the worst record and still got fourth pick. Might as well try to compete a little.
Yeah. Listen, I don't blame them, and we'll get into more Detroit's moves, but they've been active, and I'm not gonna lie, I like a couple of their moves. Bobby Ryan being one of them.
I mean, it would be interesting to see what happens if he winds up being that, like you were saying, a 30-goal season, and he really brings back that kind of shades of what he was doing in Anaheim. Then it's like, oh shit, all right. Then obviously he's got his head on straight and he's ready to go, and he wants to make the most of what time he's got left playing the game, So it would be a big snag for Detroit if he turns out to be what he was when he left Anaheim, So be a huge snag for them. But for Don too, I'm sorry that you didn't get that first pick too, because honestly, dude, no one wanted to see the Rangers get it. I sure as shit didn't. So
I think they're going to be just fine with Lucas Raymond.
Yeah, they'll be fine though. Yeah,
they'll be just fine. Moving on here, number 4 here. All right, go ahead, Maddie, real quick before we jump to number 4.
Just a few comments. Anthony's saying, remember this too. Stevie Y is there, and he will keep Bobby Ryan in check. Oh yeah,
yes he will.
Stevie Y is very good at that. He's very good at managing players. That's why he was one of the best GMs in Tampa Bay's history, obviously, because he's the reason why they have a cup. And also, he can do the same thing for Detroit.
Together.
Yeah.
And put the whole thing together.
Yeah. And Sal saying Fletcher dropped the ball with not signing Ryan for $1 million. That's a fucking bonehead move on his part.
I mean, I get it. But you're blocking, there's really no room for him. Like I said, you're getting Nolan Patrick back. You're going to have Oscar Lindblom back. You have Frosty that needs to come up. You might have, who's the kid they just signed from Linus Sundin, something like that.
Yeah.
He's expected to be a really good player, and there's just no room for Bobby.
Now here's the thing too. There was a signing for a D-man who will either be a healthy scratch or play in the AHL. Well, not the AHL, but will go on loan to Europe or something like that. That's Derek Poulia, who we signed from the St. Louis Blues for a year. So what that tells me is two things.
Yeah, I forgot they signed him.
So that tells me this. Either A, he is better than what we realize, or 2, he's going to be a healthy scratch, or he's going to Europe to be on loan, which means we're bringing somebody up on the defensive side to really have a chance for them to take a full-time position on the defense. That's what that's signaling to me, which I don't mind that. I don't mind the idea that, okay, let's see what we got here on the defensive talent, because there's really only a handful more defensive prospects we don't have yet currently on the roster. For the most part, we've brought up almost all of our defensive prospects, at least the big ones.
Yeah. So it's a quick timeout. Can I just throw this out there?
Sure.
So I'm watching the NLCS, and Atlanta's up 7-1 in the top of the 7th. Can I say how great it is to see fans in the stands again? I am absolutely in love with the fact that Petco Park has 7,500 fans, something along those lines. I love it. I love seeing the fans in the stands. I love seeing hearing the authentic roar of the crowd. Oh, it just makes sports feel so much better. Anyway, so we're gonna move on here. Like I said, it's a long list. So we'll fly through the next couple. Number 4 and 5, I'm going to tag team together because they're going to Tampa Bay Lightning. One's Patrick Maroon and Luke Shen signing. Patrick Maroon signing a 2-year deal worth 1.8, and Luke Shen signing a 1-year deal worth $800,000. Which you expect Maroon to continue to be that bottom 6. Luke Shen's going to be that role 7th defenseman type. All right, so next we got Radko Gouda signing with the Florida Panthers on a 3-year, $7.5 million contract. And here, it's kind of expected for Radko. When Florida's still trying to build that defense up. I think that's one thing that's really hurting them, and it really hurt Sergei Bobrovsky in his first year with the Panthers.
Yeah, that Florida team.
I hate Radko. I think he's a piece of shit, but he's a good defenseman to have on your side.
Yeah.
And I thought he actually played rather well in Washington. I don't think he really took any major bonehead moves, bonehead penalties. So, and Joe Quenneville's going to keep him in check as well.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, here's a fun fact for everybody out there. Both the Shen brothers won a Stanley Cup 1 year right after the other. Braden won with the Blues. Luke won with the Lightning. Isn't that kind of fucking weird?
You know what's nice? Robbie and Scotty won one together.
That what year? What year was that? I forget. What team was that? That was with
Ducks.
That was with some team that has no fans in Southern Cali, right? Right.
Why do you gotta hurt so much? Who hurt you?
Oh, come on. You take plenty of pot shots, so don't be trying.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so moving on. This one we gotta talk about a little bit. Because it's kind of a big move. Henrik Lundqvist going to the Washington Capitals on a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. I like this by Henrik because he stays in the Metro, and he's going to an organization that's essentially ready to win. And what a shot it would be if Henrik Lundqvist wins a cup with Washington this year. I'm not saying it'll happen, but what a one of these to the Rangers if he wins it with the Washington Capitals. And I think this is going to be brilliant if they do. I'm personally going to root for the Capitals in the playoffs if they get that far.
If that happens, if the Capitals win their second cup in franchise history with Henrik Lundqvist in goal, I am going to start pissing my pants laughing because I'm like, the Rangers got the best years of his career and Vezina years, and they couldn't win that fucking cup. And he wins one with Washington well past his prime. That is classic bullshit from the hockey gods just to fuck over the Rangers, which I would wholeheartedly be 110%. But it would make sense, because here it is. Hockey gods balance it out. You got Alexis Lafreniere, you give up Lundqvist, and Lundqvist wins the cup with Washington, not with you. That would be fucking hilarious if that shit happens.
I'm saying that's one of these. That's one of these. But Sal, I agree with you to an extent. I think they're definitely older, but I think bringing in Peter Laviolette to be your head coach kind of opens that window back up a little bit. And as far as Lundqvist goes, you're not going to see him start more than maybe 30, 35 games. It's going to be a pure split between him and Samsonov. But come playoff time, expect to see King Henrik in net. I mean, we'll really see what he's made of now with the Washington team.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. The hate for the Rangers is strong in this one. Hey, listen, man, when you got a Flyers fans here, you got to hate the blue shirts. Ricky,
I hate to agree with Ricky, but he's absolutely right. When you have the grade 8, anything can happen. You're spot on, Ricky.
Anthony's saying the Rangers fell off the cliff because the Rangers used to be competitive in the 90s and 20s.
Yeah, but you know what? They're back. I hate to say it, but they're back. They got a good team. They got a very good
I-
team. They'll fight for the
was-
division this year.
I was not thrilled when I saw that the Rangers got the number one pick. As relieved as I was to see the Penguins didn't get it, it was so bittersweet because I'm like, of course, still happened to be a team in our fucking division. Couldn't have gone out west. Jesus.
Speaking of the
Anyway,
Rangers, while we're talking about the Rangers, we'll throw this two signings out there. Re-signing Tony DeAngelo to a 2-year deal and signing Georgiev, I believe, to another 2-year deal. I didn't catch the money involved, but I saw that earlier. All that does is just it just makes the team stronger. There's no doubting that.
hey, they found it.
Because now you have Prince Igor and Georgiev as your starter and your backup. That's not a bad tandem to have.
I just realized something. Now that the King is gone, do we have to call him King Igor now, or do we keep the Prince moniker?
Keep the Prince moniker for now.
Okay.
He still has a lot to prove.
That's
all
true.
Right, moving on. Yep, moving on. We got Cam Talbot signing with the Minnesota Wild, which is an interesting move. I figured Minnesota would try and go after Braden Holtby. But the push for Cam Talbot, he's probably going to wind up a bubble team now instead of being just a straight playoff team. I mean, they're not in bad shape. I think that Cam Talbot's not the answer, and I think he's kind of proven that over the last couple of years. Since leaving Edmonton, signing that big contract and just kind of, I don't want to say floundering, but he hasn't been that guy.
He's a good backup, I think, at this point in his career, but I don't know if he would necessarily be a starter.
I wouldn't necessarily say that he's a good backup, but he's not your franchise guy. He's not the guy that you can rely on to start 42 games and get you maybe 50% wins.
Yeah.
You want to jump back to that comment from Sal?
Sure. So Sal's saying, why are they good? Because they got young kids playing and not signing old ass clogs in the lineup. Now I think he might have been talking about the Rangers there.
He is.
But you know what? You can also reference that to the Flyers as well. We made a few mistakes in signing some older players, but you know what? At the end of the day, we still have a lot of those young players playing up. And the Rangers are starting to the Rangers were going to retool, and they did. And when they decided to do that, they picked the right time to do it. Now they got the number 1 overall pick and a franchise face. So I think they made the right choice.
They did. They have 2 good young goaltenders. They have Capo Caco. I was saying his name right. I don't know why I blanked on it. Alex Lafreniere, Mika Zibanejad, who's still relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good core of guys, and they're doing nothing but building around them. And they have a nice, strong defense to play in front of their goaltenders. They're gonna be a good team, and the Flyers are gonna get there. But I just think the Rangers having the number 2 pick last year and getting Caco, having the number 1 this year, getting Lafreniere. Rangers are going to be a filthy team. All right, so Cam Talbot to Minnesota. I don't quite understand it, but it is what it is. They got a solid goaltender. You're going to have to – he's just a platoon guy now. I think he always has been, in my opinion, but whatever. Moving on, Kyle Turris signing with the Edmonton Oilers on a 2-year, $3.3 million after being bought out by the Nashville Predators. Ever since leaving Ottawa, he hasn't been the same player, especially in Nashville. Hopefully he can turn it around in Edmonton. I think he's going to be playing on the second line.
Okay, then.
Nathan Bellew re-signing with the Winnipeg Jets on a 2-year, $2.5 million contract.
That doesn't surprise me.
And here's the shocker to me. This is one of the big surprises of free agency, in my opinion. Braden Holtby going to the Vancouver Canucks. Jacob Markstrom choosing to not re-sign in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Was a big shocker for me.
Well, I think because he got thrown a big contract, so I think that maybe the contract he did sign was pretty big. I mean, maybe he was given that before Vancouver could counter that offer, and he just said, "Fuck it, I'm taking this," and it's probably better than whatever Vancouver would give me. And so at that moment, in a huff, Benning realized, okay, I need the GM to find me a goalie now. And so they went and they grabbed Holtby, which is interesting for 2 reasons. One, you still have Demko, which he's not bad. He's not bad. He's young, though. So that's the thing. I think that's their biggest concern is that he's still learning. And
Boston College standout.
Yeah. And then also getting Holtby, though, it would be interesting to see if this is a chance for Holtby to start fresh, too. There's a chance for Holtby to kind of prove I still got something left in the tank. Does he?
I think it's a bridge move, though.
It is a bridge move, 110%, but I think this is a chance for Holtby to say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try and show the world that, you know what, I still got something left in the tank. I may not have much longer left in the NHL, but I'm damn sure going to go out with a bang. Hey, look at what happened with Fleury. Got taken in the expansion draft. Many people thought, well, he's pretty much done in Pittsburgh. So look at what happened. He wound up taking that team all the way to the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying that'll happen, but shit happens like that in the world where you'll have a veteran player starting to wane down on his old team. He goes to another one, and he has a resurge in his career. Could it happen with Holtby? I think it could. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see.
We will, and I think defensively they lost a few pieces, but they gained a big one back in Nate Schmidt, and that should help Holtby. But the big thing here is I don't think it was the Vancouver GM who said, I think Markstrom made the call and saying, I'm not coming back to Vancouver. And we'll jump to Markstrom, who's a little bit further down on my list, but he signed a 6-year, $36 million contract with the Calgary Flames. I think he wanted a team to make a commitment to him, and I don't think Vancouver was the team that was going to make that commitment. And it's big for a up-and-coming goaltender like Jacob Markstrom, who's not really up-and-coming, but he's a guy who's really flourished over the last couple of years, and he's going to be playing in my opinion, a not much better, but a better Calgary team. He's going to give himself an opportunity to win the division.
I think we'll see some strong goaltending for Calgary finally, which I think has been one of their biggest issues for the longest time. They've been trying to find a goalie, and they've had the worst time trying to find one. No one had a worse time than us, but they had a pretty bad time in their own right trying to find a solid starter.
All right, so we're going to stick with the goalies here as we move on down the list. Anton Dobin, who was told to test free agency, re-signs with Dallas on a 3-year, $10 million contract, which I think is a great move for Dallas because he really showed his worth in the playoffs, getting Dallas all the way to Stanley Cup Finals. Coming up a little short, but he got him there. Played well for the most part. A couple of games he looked bad, but and then this is the one that I think is. This is going to be a big factor for the Ottawa Senators. Not only trading, but re-signing Matt Murray to a 4-year, $25 million contract. And, this is a team that's in rebuild mode.
Yep.
And they've been finally moved past Craig Anderson, which is, I think, something that was long overdue.
Yeah.
You finally get the young goaltender. I think this is a great move for Ottawa if he can get back to his Stanley Cup form. And
I'm interested to see how this pans out for Matt Murray, and the only reason why I'm interested in this because I'm kind of the keen of having plenty of years to look back on this and say, Matt Murray is a streaky goalie. Is he a bad goalie? No. But I feel like he's had his moments where he's really not in the good shape. Maybe that's just because of his injuries. Maybe that's just the major problem to it. But
probably.
When you look back on it, you kind of think about it, it does kind of line up with that because he came in and he got hot during the playoffs and helped Pittsburgh win a cup. Following year, he didn't look so hot, and Fleury had to step in for him. And then he carried them off into winning the cup after Fleury got hurt. So he had help winning the second one. After that, when he's been on his own, he's had some great moments, and then he's looked sloppy at other times. Again, maybe it's just an injury problem because he has had those issues and it has affected his performance in the past. Or maybe Jari was the better one of the two. It's hard to say. I think it's probably mostly more of an injury issue, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I'm just looking back on it, it's like, let's see how Matt Murray does in Ottawa. I'm very intrigued to see how this pans out.
Yeah, sometimes a change of scenery is really all you need. So we're going to jump back in the list here. We got Alex Wenberg being released from the Columbus Blue Jackets, signing with the Florida Panthers on a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. It's a good move for Florida. You get a little bit of center depth, and you get a guy who can create some offense. We talked about Tyler Pitlik. Evan Rodriguez signing with the Pittsburgh Penguins on a 1-year, $700,000 contract. Depth move for Pittsburgh. Kevin Shattenkirk signing with Anaheim. This one shocked me. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting Anaheim to do anything because we didn't have a ton of cap space. And we're still waiting on Ryan Kessler to go on the long-term injury reserve so we can get his money.
Can't happen soon enough.
But something must have happened with somebody, maybe talks breaking down or something. Maybe you want to bring in more leadership on the defensive side. But I thought Anaheim's defense was kind of set for the near future. You had Hampus Lindholm. You had Cam Fowler, Josh Manson, Brandon Goalie, Jacob Larson, and I guess Josh Mahora just didn't pan out. So, I mean, you bring in another top 4 defenseman who's coming off a Stanley Cup win. I'll take the leadership. I'll take the experience. Got it for 3 years.
Can't hurt.
Also, could also be a move to protect some other players in the draft, in the expansion draft. So, I mean, you never know. So moving on real quick, unless you got something you want to say about Shaddy.
No. I mean, at this point, it's going to be interesting to see how long he continues to play. You know, and now that he's won a Stanley Cup, that's when you start. Okay, let's see if they're going to continue to chase the cup or if they're just going to continue riding out their time. I'm interested to see what Shattenkirk does from here on out.
You and me both. I might have to get his jersey, though, just to have it. All right, moving on. So this is the name you brought up to me the other day, which I kind of had to be like, I'm pretty sure you already got signed. So TJ Brodie signing with the Toronto Maple Leafs on a 4-year, $20 million contract. I think this is a good move for Toronto. I like TJ Brodie. I think he brings a nice physical play, and I think that's – we keep saying Toronto shits the bed all the time, and that might be true, but here's something that I didn't think about, and you bring this with bringing in Wayne Simmonds as well, is get a little rough around the edges, you can start pushing some of these teams back, and I think that's why you bring in TJ Brodie and Wayne Simmonds.
It's interesting. I mean, Wayne, obviously, yeah, that's pretty much what he's going to bring to the table is physical play because his scoring days are definitely behind him. But then I would also say, you know, TJ Brodie, he's another one of those depth players that, you know, helps in terms of that tougher physical play style. Although I think Brodie may have a little bit more aid in that, you know, third line department possibly. Whereas Wayne, I could see Wayne probably taking a fourth line position on the team. Yeah, it's just, for me, it'll be interesting. If Toronto can bring some of that physical play, maybe that will be the reason why that's been holding them back. Because Boston is a team that likes to throw the body around. We know that. Tampa absolutely loves to throw the body around. These are two teams that can score and do have offense, but they love to be physical. And that's one of the things that, you know, can be argued as maybe that's the reason why Toronto can't get the job done. Oh, and Columbus also likes to throw the body around. We saw that when Jake Muzzin got hurt. So, you know, it's just another one of those.
That was just unfortunate, though.
It was unfortunate, yeah. But the good thing is, though, at least he was talking and he was, you know, able to communicate. That was the good thing about that. You know, he wasn't out cold.
Absolutely. Torrey Krug, we talked about a little bit. Chris Tanev signing with the Calgary Flames. I think this is a great move for Calgary. Shores up the defensive woes that really hurt them, especially come playoff time. Signed a 4-year, $18 million contract to be a top 6 player. Corey Crawford signing with the New Jersey Devils. How do you feel about that one, Matty, on a 2-year, $7.8 million?
I back up for Blackwood. Like I mean, at this point, I'm just looking at it like, okay, Crawford's going.
Yeah, he's not starting.
I'm thinking like, oh, bitch, please, you got more problems than your goaltending. That's actually really not a problem for you. The biggest problem is your fucking defense. That's your biggest fucking problem. Poor Blackwood is out there every night on a goddamn iceberg. I'm like, well, you gonna try and stop anything here? There's 3 or 4 chances that happened in your zone. Not that I don't love seeing you guys shit the bed night in and night out, but you need to fix that.
I'll tell you what, though, I do like this signing for that reason. and that is Mackenzie Blackwood. I think that you bring in a guy like Corey Crawford. He's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion.
Yes.
His experience and his leadership could be a really good mentor for Blackwood, and he's already expected to be a good goaltender. He could really take it to the next level here. I mean, you bring up a great point that their defense isn't great, but they got better, especially when they acquired Ryan Murray from the Columbus Blue Jackets. For some reason, they gave him up. I'm not quite sure. Because he's a top 4, arguably top 2 defenseman.
You think that was a cap space move?
I think it was a move. I think it was. And I think that's why you saw some of the moves that you did see, mainly because of the flat cap.
Yeah.
And because obviously it's staying like this for the next couple of years.
Possibly 3.
So we'll see. I think the Devils could compete, but I mean, we'll see. There's still a lot of factors in that roster. They still got a lot of young talent that needs to mature a little bit. One of them being Hughes and Nico Herscher. So we'll see what happens.
And some of the veterans, they haven't exactly been killing it, and it's like, you guys want to do anything about this? Because you got a whole bunch of young guys that might want to be shown how to do things properly.
Wow. That was a bomb. Marcell Ozuna hitting his second home run of the game.
Yeah, but
why didn't the Phillies sign him?
You got me, man. I don't really follow baseball, but Brodo, if you want to have a comment on that, feel free to chime in.
Why didn't the Phillies go after Marcell Ozuna?
But yes, Brodo.
I don't want to comment on that. Thank you.
Anyway, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We got a new GM coming. Hopefully, one that has a freaking backbone.
Right. I think all you need to do is show off the shirt, and I think that will just cover the whole thing.
Fair enough. You get your bad things happen in Philadelphia shirts at PhillyDrinkersLLC.com, baby.
But again, just to finish up with the Devils here, it's going to be tough for them. It's just tough for them, period, because they're in the Metro. The Metro's the worst division out of the 2 in the East. Yeah, and you got
it's the best. It's really the best division in hockey right now.
Because you've got the Rangers that have the number 1 overall pick in Lafreniere and have a young up-and-coming team. You have the Flyers, young and up-and-coming team. You have the Capitals that still have something left in the tank. We don't know how much, but there's still something there. And then the Penguins, we'll see where they're at. They're still enough to be a headache, but we'll see what's going to happen with them in the future. As for the other team, then you've also got to deal with Carolina. That could be frustrating. You also then have Columbus. That can be a frustrating team as well.
And
you got teams
in Max Domi.
Yeah, and you got teams that are just a pain in the ass that are going to continue to be that way moving forward. Oh, and of course the Islanders, because God, if they they have to get Barzal under contract. That's the big thing they got to do. But
he's under.
Oh, that's right. They did get him under contract. But nonetheless, though, there's a few that. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say the Islanders did shore up a little question mark that they had, and that was goaltending. And it may not be the best option that they had, but going out and getting Corey Schneider was, in my opinion, a smart move because you lost Thomas Greiss. You needed a backup.
Yeah,
Greiss went to Detroit. Enjoy him there, Don, because he's had some good games in New York, and he'll have some more.
I'm surprised that they didn't sign him back, though, because after the way he performed in the playoffs, the 2 games, I think I remember seeing him start, it must have been a money issue because
he wanted more. He wanted to start. He wanted a chance to start, too.
That went up fucking Schitt's Creek. That went up Schitt's Creek when Semyon Varlamov said, "Fuck you, I want this spot."
Well, I mean, you got a better player, let's be real, and Semyon Varlamov than Greiss. And Greiss has been good. I'm not saying Greiss has been bad.
No.
He signed to Detroit on a 2-year, $7.2 million contract, so he got a raise from what he was making.
True.
So moving on down the list here before we get a little deeper into Greiss, which we will in a moment. Andrei Burakovsky signed with Colorado on a 2-year, $9.8 million. I love this
Makes
move by
sense.
Boston. I'm not going to lie. I love this move by Boston.
Yeah.
Craig Smith on a 3-year, $9.3 million contract. I love this
That was
move. They sure up their center position, which was a little bit of an issue in the playoffs. And Craig Smith is a very strong two-way player. He has some pretty good scoring upside. Can win a lot of faceoffs for the Boston Bruins.
Absolutely. I think Boston, one of the things that really hurt them in this year's postseason, the team just didn't get going. And if you could bring in somebody like Smith who maybe can get a team going at the right time by winning faceoffs, getting some good opportunities, that can help continue if you get more center depth, that can help your offense continue to not get cold, especially at a bad time like they did.
Yeah, winning timely faceoffs is a huge thing, and Craig Smith has done a lot of that in Nashville. Before we go on to number 27 here, Matt, you want to read some of his comments off?
Absolutely. So let me see here. Let me go back here a little bit. Starting off, Chrome, he said that I have to hashtag agree to the poll question, especially if Nolan Patrick is ready to go. That's a huge addition in its own. They are still stocked up with youth. They made their big splash last year and could still pull off the trade or two. No need to spend big money in this market. And he is absolutely correct. We did make a big splurge when we got Kevin Hayes last year. And then Don.
Thinking. I love it.
Don saying Robbie Fabry was great for us last year. Fabry wasn't bad.
Fabry was a good trade. He was another guy who just needed to change his scenery, and he went to Detroit, and he fit into that system really well.
Yeah. Anthony's saying, who's going to be backup goalie when Brian Elliott retires? You could argue Lyon.
I was going to say probably Alex Lyon. Felix Sandstrom could be another guy who could be ready by that point. He's playing over in Europe right now too, so he's getting his chance to continue to play and stay warm and loose and develop a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's another big goalie prospect for the Flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good problem to have. For a team that hadn't had one in years.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, love bringing Moose back too. Definitely can see his mentorship and relationship with Carter and his desire to take less to be here after the solid year he had spelling art will deserve return. Yeah, I like Elliott. And I love the fact he just kind of fit into the backup role seamlessly, and obviously Elliott's days as the starter are done. But he still is solid when he plays. And we've seen that when he's had to step in and pick up some of the slack. Like if Hart had a really bad game, and they just want to give him a rest or they want to give him a break, like, all right, calm down, relax, just take a night off or two. Or they just want to give him a rest in general, or if he gets hurt. Elliott's always been really good when he's come in and had to, play a handful of games, and if you get him for like a 5-game spurt and he wins you at least 3 out of the 5, it's like, all right, good. He did his job. He's the backup goalie,
Yeah, I agree. I love bringing him back. He's got, like Chrome was just saying, he's got a good relationship with Carter Hart. He's been good when he's been called upon, and yeah, he's not the everyday starter anymore. But you know what? He's still good enough that he can still play the backup role really well, and he had a good season. He had a good season.
And I think he made some great saves, too, on top of it that could actually make Carter Hart blush. So, showing you he still got some moves left in him. Still got some left. So, Sal saying, talk about terrible contracts. Bob, obviously referring to Sergei Bobrovsky. And Don.
Well, I mean, before we move on to that, like, I don't want to necessarily say that was a terrible contract just off the first year. I want to give it another year or two before I decide if it was good or bad. One of the things is, I mean, outside of Aaron Ekblad and Keith Yandel, they don't really have any strong defensemen. They went out and got Radko Gouda, which is going to help because he's top 6 guy. He's a big physical guy. He's going to keep the front of that net clear. I think they made another move, but I can't really look too far down my list at the moment.
And they did bring in Boyle, too, to try and cheer things up a little bit.
Yeah,
but that didn't really do it.
Yeah. No, but, I mean, I want to give it a little bit more time, Sal. Just another year or two. See how he does. Like I said, they've definitely improved the defense. So let's see how he does, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Don was talking about my comment earlier saying, wow, Matt the shade. Sal was saying Lundqvist is finished. You want to say anything? Okay.
I mean, this is probably going to be his last year. He wants one more cup run.
And Sal saying the whole Capitals team is old and fading. Oh yeah, we know that their window is closing. If not, I think it got reopened slightly because of the fact that Lavi is going to be the coach and he gets a lot out of the offense, which is still the major thing that sells you on Washington being a tough team. Still the reason why they wound up winning the division. It's not much, but there's a little sliver. They just got open just a little bit. It's only going to be for maybe a year or two before that team really, maybe even just a year before that team's officially,
window
done.
Opens just a little bit more.
Yeah. But let's see here. Moving on, Rob's saying, what the fuck are these guys talking about? And then
we never know. We don't know. It just happens.
And then Sal saying Rangers are going to be good this season as much as I hate them. Unfortunately, they are. And Ricky215 saying anything can happen when you have grade 8 on the team. He said we did see that earlier.
Yeah, I think we're getting back into the comments that we've seen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there were any that we missed here. Anthony was saying, is Malkin leaving the Pens? Nothing's happened, so I don't think so.
Not yet. I think he's going to run out his contract. I think I think he's got 2 years left.
Which to me, I feel like is a missed opportunity for Pittsburgh, in my opinion. You could have traded him and gotten something.
Well,
maybe
they may trade him when his contract is not this year, but next year, in the last year of his contract.
That's true.
But I gotta see how long his contract is.
I was just saying in a deep draft
for a rental.
I was just saying in a deep draft, I'm surprised. I feel like it was a missed opportunity for them to get a few draft picks or maybe get some capital onto them so they can get some young players in the system. But that's just me. And now Chrome saying, I may have missed it, but what free agent signing ranks as the best in your opinion?
The best?
For me, I would say the best signing for me right now, I would say actually, believe it or not, I think that Murray signing is a huge one. Honestly, I really like that Murray. Yeah, no, not the Matt Murray. The other one.
Ryan Murray?
Yeah, I think that was a good one. But another one
trade. That was a trade. I wasn't.
Oh, that's right. That was my bad. But I will.
I gotta say it's Markstrom for Calgary. I think he's gonna really put Calgary over the top here.
For me, I would say Pietrangelo. I think that's a huge signing for Vegas. And them trying to get their Stanley Cup, I think that may very well be the one thing that they need to get them over the hump.
Well, there's one thing that we've seen, Maddie, and we've seen it time and time again. Sometimes the best team, the best signings, the biggest players, doesn't always add up to a Stanley Cup right away. I mean, how long did it take Tampa Bay?
Oh, it did. But you never know. I mean, Vegas is that kind of team that they're a frustrating team to play against. They're just a team that when you think they're dead, they just pull some bullshit out of their ass and they win, So it's just how Vegas always has been.
Perfect example. Not hockey, but let's talk about the Dodgers. Every year, they have a roster built to win multiple championships.
And they
multiple.
Have one. Yeah.
They're losing 8-2 right now. If they lose this game, they're down 3-1 in the series.
Ooh.
And yet again, well, not always. I mean, the Astros were down 3-0, and they're down 3-2 now. So you never really know. But another year, another billion-dollar roster, another year without a championship for the Dodgers. So
I could see that.
Yeah.
That's pretty frustrating. I mean, think about it this way: how long did the Nationals had a strong roster for years, and then after that, they won a World Series after a lot of those players left. But then again, I'm not a baseball guy, so I may just be pulling out a straw there. Let's see.
A little bit.
Well, let's see. Sal saying Cam Talbot completely sucks cock. He's the Sam Bradford of the NHL. Somehow teams keep throwing money at him. Love that comment. That's a great one. Anthony is saying...
Tell us how you really feel, Sal. I love it.
And Anthony's saying Talbot might go to Calgary. No, I think they had a taste of that, and I don't think they liked it. I don't think they liked the taste of that at all.
Well, Talbot went to Minnesota, so I don't think he's going anywhere else. Calgary's
let's
got
see.
Markstrom, which I think is a great move for them.
Yeah, Sal's saying he's been leaving for the last 4 years. And then Sal was also saying that, and he said, yes, that's my point. The Flyers and Rangers are on the same page. And Rob was also saying, I remember when I explicitly said Henrik was going to a new team as a backup, and Brian swore up and down he'd be a starter. Now it's 25 games. And then he
That's
goes,
still a starter, and I said 35.
And he follows it up with hashtag flip-flop talk.
He's still going to start most of the games.
And he also gives a shout out to Don and Ricky. And
for you, Robbie.
Anthony was saying Luongo has 1 or 2 years left. And
wait,
I don't know. Luongo, I thought he retired.
He's been retired.
Yeah.
I think he's working in the Panthers front office. All right,
maybe he has 1 or 2 years left in the Panthers front office, especially if they miss the playoffs again. But anyway,
fortunately, he's not their GM, so that's good for him.
True, that is true. But Don
just got a new GM.
Don saying, "Boo, the Sens suck," which no surprise. Anthony also saying, "I thought Shaddy would go to the Devils or stay with the Blues." I don't know if he would have
stayed with the Blues. He's coming from Tampa.
Yeah, I don't think he would have stayed.
He hasn't been in St. Louis for years.
I think he meant go back to the Blues, but
that was a possibility.
But
they were looking for a D-man.
To be fair, though, that is a possible why he didn't go to the Devils. The possibility could have been there if he had gone to the Devils, but then I think they would have been a little bit worried that they would have taken a spot of a young guy.
I think he wanted to stay in Tampa, but Tampa was like, we got to free up some cap space here.
Gotcha.
All right, so we got to move on with this list here. We still got a lot to go.
All right, then. Yeah, so we got a whole bunch of other stuff.
Troy Stecker signed with the Detroit Red Wings. 2 years, $3.4 million. Thomas Greiss, Detroit, 2.72, which we talked about already. I think it's a great move for Detroit for now. I don't necessarily know if they have any goaltending prospects that are getting ready to come up, but Greiss is a good Band-Aid, good bridge for the moment. Tyson Barrie getting an opportunity to show that he can still play at a high level with Edmonton on a 1-year prove-it deal worth $3.75 million. You got Nate Thompson signing in Winnipeg, which is an interesting move.
Yeah.
All the Flyers fans in the area are talking about let's bring in Matt Martin. I saw one guy say Vegas is unloading contracts. Let's get Ryan Reeves. No.
Why? No. Why do you want Ryan Reeves? Just because he can fight doesn't mean but that doesn't mean shit.
But
you know?
No. Hear me out. The guy the Flyers should have signed, they should have re-signed Nate Thompson. Because only one, he's a versatile player. 2, he can win faceoffs, and 3, he's that physical guy you want on your fourth line.
And he could win like you said, he was winning faceoffs. He was a big part of that depth of the team. I was surprised that we didn't offer him anything. But again, I think it's Fletcher saying we're going all in on the youth this time.
That's fine. I'm good with that, but you still need a guy with an edge.
Here's what I think. I think he's going to find out a lot about this team in the first half, and I think if he feels like we need something else, he's going to make a trade at the deadline. I feel like that's what we're looking at here, where if he feels like this team's there but it's not there, I think he'll start thinking about a move at the deadline. That's what I'm thinking we're looking at right now. But
I'm thinking you're not going to see any big free agent signings because I think if he's going to do any moves and shake up the roster, it's going to be at the trade deadline, not now. Because it's like I said at the beginning of the show, you have a lot of young guys. You got to see what you have.
Yeah.
There was really no training camp.
No, there was not.
In the second half when they restarted, but it's an opportunity for these young guys. Competition brings the best out of guys. So you're going to see Frosty. You're going to see Sundin or Sundin, however you say Linus's last name. You're going to see Wade Allison all competing for, maybe 2 spots on the roster?
Yeah.
And then one defensive spot. You're going to see Max Friedman probably get that spot.
Which is fine. I'd rather see us bring in the youth and have them turn into really big star players, and then I'd rather have that than have us take a chance and say, okay, let's bring this veteran in. Yeah, he's a proven talent, but we got to pay him a shit ton of money, and then that hurts us.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's kind of like my whole point is like you bring in a vet, you're blocking somebody, and too much talent that's getting ready to come up. All right, 31 on my list. We got Mike Smith here, re-signing with the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton not really quick enough on some of these other deals. They had to settle for Mike Smith. Another year of mediocrity. Kevin LeBlanc, re-signing with San Jose for 4 years. Valerie Nikushkin, re-signing with the Colorado Avalanche on a 2-year deal, non-disclosed amount of money.
Interesting.
I like this move because he was a pretty good asset for Colorado moving forward.
I do like that move, yeah.
Yeah, and bringing back Burakovsky too was a good move for Colorado as well. They keep the guys that were producing together, and they had really good chemistry throughout the year, especially going into the playoffs. One of the hottest offensive teams in the league. They're going to continue to be. And here's the best part about the Colorado Avalanche: they still have a lot of cap space left. Believe it or not.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's the advantage of being really young and being a talented team.
Brandon Montour re-signing with the Buffalo Sabres on a 1-year deal worth $3.85. Trevor Van Riemsdyk on the move, going to the Washington Capitals on a 1-year $800,000 contract. I think they kind of lowballed TVR. I think he's a better defenseman than they say he is. He's definitely a top 6 guy. He's going to get top 6 minutes. But I don't know. I think he's worth a little bit more. I think maybe he took a pay cut to win. Coming from, I want to say he was either in Chicago or Carolina. I can't remember which one. He may have been.
I think it was Carolina. He was in Carolina.
Yeah, Zach Begosian signing a new contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, shoring up a little bit of grit on that defensive side, and Begosian's got a little bit of a slap shot. So don't be surprised if you see him once in a while on a power play unit. He can rip it. He had a big goal in the playoffs in the Stanley Cup Finals for the Lightning. Big move here for Dallas, keeping Radek Faksa. Big part of that core unit on the offensive side of the puck. Signs a 5-year, $16.25 million contract. If they want to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, Radek Faksa is going to be one of those guys you need to rely on. And he's a good second-line guy. Second-line guy. Played well with Joe Pavelski.
Yeah.
Detroit. Like I said, Detroit was a very active team this past week. Signing Vladimir Nemestakov. A 2-year, $4 million contract, which is good for the middle six player that he is. Has a ton of scoring upside. If you put him on the right line, he can create a lot of offense. It's something Detroit really needed, and you kind of noticed like a little bit of a trend that Detroit was kind of starting to show, giving veteran guys an opportunity to really play. And Bobby Ryan, Nemestakov. I think you're going to see a different Detroit team for sure this year, and I think you're going to see a team that's actually going to compete. I don't think they're a bubble team, but I don't think they're a cellar team either.
They're going to make some noise. They'll probably frustrate a few teams that are trying to get that wild card spot. I know what you're talking about.
Yep, this next move I love because it gets him out of my division. Kyle Clifford going from the LA Kings to the St. Louis Blues on a 2-year, $2 million deal. Oh, I'm so glad he's out. I hate him. Noodle scratcher for you. Noodle scratcher of a move here. Taylor Hall going to the Buffalo Sabres on a 1-year contract.
Maybe they know the history of him getting you a number 1 draft pick. I don't know. No, but really what I think it is I think at this point Buffalo is trying to build up a team that'll be decently enough to compete to some extent, but I feel like it's questionable because Taylor Hall, while he has had some strong times playing for the Devils and he had some strong times playing for Edmonton, a little bit with Arizona, it's still one of those things where I feel like we all know that Taylor Hall hasn't really lived up to being that number 1 overall draft pick. that he was drafted at. And it's kind of like, is he even a strong offensive player? You know, you could say that you've seen shades of it, but you haven't seen it consistently enough to make you say, yeah, he absolutely is. He's the kind of player you can keep around for 3 years. You know, we can't even say that really at the end of the day. I just think Buffalo is just trying to grab as many people as they can to try and compete because they're trying to desperately keep Jack Eichel happy. And I feel like Eric Stahl made sense because of leadership reasons and to kind of teach Jack Eichel where that leadership would be from. Plus, I feel like he can still contribute a little bit to a team. This whole move with Taylor Hall is more of I think they're just trying to get names and trying to convince Jack Eichel that we're doing something, you know, which, I mean, again, we'll see what will happen when the year begins with Buffalo. I feel like this is a team that's just throwing as much as they can, hoping it sticks at this point in time because of just how floundering this team has been for the better part of a decade.
Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. I mean, I think this is a total Eichel move. I think Taylor might actually want to play with him because he's going to be on the first line with him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's an actual move to not only help Buffalo be a competitive team, but to prove that Taylor Hall can be that effective player that he's expected to be for being a former first-round pick.
Maybe.
Signs an $8 million contract for 1 year. So I know he ain't complaining about going to Buffalo.
Oh, no.
But if things don't go his way, it gives Buffalo, I guess, an escape route to kind of bail on him.
This is like the biggest prove-it contract I've seen. Like, this is a huge prove-it contract that they gave Taylor Hall.
I love it for Buffalo, though, because, they're a team they have talent. They have offensive talent. They have defensive talent. They have goaltending. They're just a team that can't put it together. And I think bringing in a guy like Taylor Hall to go with Eichel and probably, realistically, Jeff Skinner, that could be a potentially very dangerous line. And they create some havoc.
It could. And I'm really not going to try and shit on this team. I'm not. I know I hate them, but hear me out. We've seen Buffalo do this on multiple occasions, and it has never worked before. So forgive me if I'm not exactly 110% ready to say, okay, Buffalo's going to be dangerous. I'll believe it when I see it. I will defer and wait until the season plays out before I'm like, okay, Buffalo finally figured it the fuck out. I'm still waiting on that because.
Well, I will say this in Buffalo's defense, though, they have shown flashes of brilliance as a team, and I know I've been throwing that phrase around a lot lately. But they've had points in seasons where they've started the first half hot and wound up being a first or second place team in the standings, and then just kind of going down the shitter in the second half, or vice versa.
The biggest problem is that we saw it. I think it was last year. 2 years ago, they had a really strong. They had a really strong first half. I'm like, oh, okay, Buffalo's finally looking like they're going to take that next step, and then they plummeted right back down to almost dead last. And it's like, what the fuck happened? Seriously, what the fuck just happened? It's another one of those perfect examples of this team is very, very bad in terms of consistently maintaining a good trajectory during the regular season. That's their biggest problem. They cannot maintain that. Once that nose goes down, they can't pull the plane up. They've never been able to do that for the past decade.
I think the defense, being as young as they are, doesn't really help that.
And they have some good players.
Issues. They have Colin Miller, who's a good top 4 guy. They just re-signed Brandon Montoya, who's a good top 4 guy, probably getting top 2 minutes right now. Rasmussen, still a really good defenseman. Dahlin, the kid's a stud.
Dahlin, yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what the issue is there. And
a part of me feels it's two things. Part of me feels like it's 3 things. One, I think the front office, they would get in there. I think they made some really bad moves. Obviously, the Kyle Okposo one's the one that comes to mind immediately for me because I feel like that was a terrible move. Yeah. That was worse than I think Jeff Skinner, because Skinner, to me, I feel like he has a chance to rebound. Okposo, no. Whereas
Skinner's a lot younger than Okposo too.
Yeah, and I feel like they bought into a player that they saw on the island, and they said, "Oh my God, he's this great player," forgetting that John Tavares helped elevate his game during his time on the island. And then on top of that, coaching-wise, I feel like they've had some bad coaches. I feel like they bought into Dan Bylsma, who I've always said was overrated. I think he ride the coattails of Crosby and Malkin, and he did. And unfortunately, that proved it. He could not handle Buffalo. And then they brought back fucking Ted Nolan. When they brought back Nolan, I was like, oh, this team is fucked. Because this guy couldn't coach even back in the early fucking 2000s. What makes you think he can coach now? Like, this guy can't do shit, and it turned out not to be the case. There were some questionable choices after they fired Lindy Ruff. But I understand why. You needed to change. Because Ruff had been around for so long. But again, it's one of those. I can understand making one or two coaching mistakes. Making 3 or 4, it's like, okay, come on now. Somewhere down the line, come on.
I mean, you don't want to go into obviously that situation thinking, hey, we're just going to get this guy. You're going in expecting them to actually be able to get the best out of guys, and
yeah.
The system doesn't work for, and I say this all the time, is systems don't work for every player.
True.
And I think right now they're trying to find a system that works for a guy like Eichel, who, let's be real, as good as he is, should be able to make any system work.
True.
That's why he's considered an elite player, a franchise player, because it doesn't matter who you bring in as a coach, he's going to be able to work the system, which he has for the most part. But I just don't think they've brought in guys that can really light a fire under these guys, that can really motivate them. And I don't think they still have that. I think coaching's been their biggest issue. And, now you're putting together, to me, just looking at the roster off the top of my head, solid defense, decent goaltending, which solid defense can help raise the level of goaltending. And you have 2 lines of solid players.
Yeah. And to be fair,
the one thing I've been saying about, and it's been going with the Flyers as well, is teams need depth scoring. You need to be able to roll 4 lines. And I think that's a huge weakness of Buffalo. You can't roll 4.
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair, there was, I think last year, there was a period where Buffalo was pretty hot and they were going on a good win streak. I don't think they weren't going to make the playoffs, and they knew it, but they were trying to play spoiler for teams. And they came against the Flyers, and the Flyers were trying to take first place, and they actually gave the Flyers a hard time. That was when Allmark was really doing well in net, and he was proving and making a case to be a starter out there. And that was a tough game. It was a tough game in Philly, but we did win it. But still, it's a perfect example of, okay, in that one little microcosm, that one little game, that's what Buffalo could be. They could be a very nasty, difficult team to deal with that's maybe not a division winner right now, but if they just got their shit together, they could actually compete for
maybe a wild card team.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's what I was seeing there. It's like, and this is why Buffalo, they cannot stay consistent, and that's their biggest problem. That's what's killing them. No consistency.
Yep. All right. Any new comments here before we move on to the next one?
Let's see here. Ted was saying would have been nice to get Hall like the Sabres did. Speaking of that, but we have a lot of talent to call up to, so not
Flyers.
too.
Ted, I mean, you're a Flyers fan, right, Ted? If that's the case, I mean, he's a 1-year, $8 million hit, and it's not like he signed a $2, maybe $3 million deal where you could probably afford it. Flyers can't afford $8 million, even if it's for 1 year.
Well, it's 5. Yeah, we only have 5 anyway, so yeah.
And I completely agree, because you know what? A lot of young talent coming up. Talent. That's the key word there. Talent.
Yeah.
Something the Flyers haven't had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ted has another comment here. And that comment is, the way the Flyers are talking, it sounds like they believe Patrick will be playing this up-and-coming season. I believe he will be. And he'll definitely...
He's been scrimmaging up in Canada, so why won't this close?
And Ted's also saying, Tampa waives Johnson. How is he still a free agent? Is he a bad person? I don't think he's a bad person. I just think that maybe he's asking a lot for, to come to a team, and maybe they're like,
No, they didn't waive him to buy out his contract. It wasn't one of those. It was to try and get a team to pick him up, and he wound up clearing waivers. So
well,
it wasn't
okay,
a buyout.
gotcha.
It wasn't a buyout. It was closed. Damn it.
Okay, so he went to the AHL. Well, what would have been the AHL, but he. That's interesting, but I think at the end of the day, maybe they just feel like maybe Johnson had his best years and they don't want to take a chance. I don't know. I don't think Johnson's dead. I think he still could contribute something.
No, he won't.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. Maybe they make a trade for.
I think they wanted to just try and just, like I said, get him to disappear. Hoping to grab him off waivers.
Well, maybe they'll be able to trade him in the deadline or something like that. Who knows?
I'm having an issue here. Why? I think my phone freaking froze.
Oh, that's not good. But we'll finish out these comments, then we'll close out for the evening. So final thing, Anthony go back to Blues. He also said the Flyers should have re-signed Pitlik. I agree. We should have, and we would have gotten him cheap. But I think maybe he got a better offer from Arizona. I think it's a 2-year deal out there. So it's like, you know what, 2 years more money? Oh, well, it is what it is. Sucks,
I get it.
But it is what it is.
I mean, I get the comment, like, but, Pitlik is going to block somebody else. They want to give somebody else a younger player a shot, which I get.
Yeah. And Don, final thing he wanted to say was, wow, Bri don't want to see the Kings do good. #shocker.
Nope.
And on that note, folks, that'll do it for this.
Keep going. We'll keep going. Because I can hear you. I can't really see anything, but if you can see me, we're good.
I can see you, but I was thinking it would probably be a good idea to close out because we don't have any more comments. So we're good. I think we're good to go.
I still got a few names here to read off. Jimmy Vesey going to Toronto on a 1-year, $900,000 contract, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. I would have liked to see Jimmy Vesey come to Philly, but I think he would be good for the power play. But Derek Brassard's still out there. But Jimmy Vesey, you're going to get on a cheap deal because he hasn't really set the world over. He was like the big name before he signed with the Rangers, and he kind of never really panned out to what they expected him to be.
Yeah, it was one of those college players that was a big deal, but it happens,
Mm-hmm. Then we got Ryan Graves signing with Colorado, re-signing with Colorado on a 3-year deal, $9.48 million. Tyler Toffoli going to Montreal, and I know Rob was a little sour about this. Tyler Toffoli signed in a 4-year, $17 million contract. Rob is a big Tyler Toffoli fan, and yeah, he showed that he still got it in Vancouver. He's going to bring a lot of leadership to a very young locker room in Montreal, and I think he's going to do a lot of good for that team. I think you're going to see them take the next step forward. And I honestly, I love the move for Montreal. They're going to get some good production out of him. And like I said, they need that type of vet. Tyler Toffoli, 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I'm not, Yeah, I mean, again, future. I'm not really worried about, players that you got to pay now, like that. I'm fine with the youth. I don't need Tyler Toffoli. Maybe back 3-4 years ago, it would have been really great to try and get a shot at Toffoli, but that would have been 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
3-4 years later.
And I totally get it. And that was kind of one of the things I explained to Rob was that, and it's perfect timing. There's a lot of RFAs that the Flyers would need to worry about, cap space. Really those reasons that I've explained multiple times tonight is why the Flyers haven't really been active and gone after a guy like Tyler Toffoli. I wouldn't have minded seeing him here, but I think he's going to be in a much better situation in Montreal.
Yeah, I agree. And then how many more big free agent signings do we have? Just out of pure curiosity. Couple more? Okay.
I'm at 44 out of 51.
Oh, okay.
So we're getting there. Joakim Ryan signed with Carolina on a 1 year, $700,000, not million. That's a huge contract. With the Carolina Hurricanes, more of a depth move for Carolina to kind of shore up some losses on defense because we know Sami Vatanen did not re-sign. He's still currently a free agent. And this one, I want to get your opinion. And since I'm seeing some messages from Rob, who's about to jump on here, Erik Gustafsson signing with the Philadelphia Flyers on a 1 year, $3 million contract. I definitely want to get your opinion on that for both of you.
By the way, hi, Rob.
What's up, Rob?
What the fuck's up, boys?
Glad you joined us.
Yeah, I finally finished that beat, and then I heard you say Toffoli, and I'm the biggest Toffoli mark in the world. So that's what
I was saying. That's what I was saying.
But so for my opinion on the whole Gustafsson deal, it's interesting. It's another one of those. Okay, he's making a depth choice, which is what really that's all Fletcher's really been doing. He hasn't really done anything besides the Hayes deal. That was the biggest thing he's done since coming to the Flyers. That was the biggest deal he's made. Everything else has been pure depth, which I'm perfectly fine with. Because, again, all the pieces that you need to succeed are already here. And he's even said that in his press conference. Clearly he means that because he's been sticking to that since he's taken over. And this is another one of those deals where it's like, I'm fine with it. It's a depth choice at the end of the day. It's not a killer at the end of the day. It's not a deal that's going to hamstring us at the end of the day for signing back future talent. Because, again, we still have to offload other contracts. It's the only thing that may concern me a little bit. It's like if we can't get rid of those contracts. But then again, that would have happened even if we hadn't signed him. So, for me, I'm fine with it. It's another depth choice, and I can live with it. It doesn't really kill me at the end of the day.
Robbie, what do you think about the Gustafsson signing?
I like it a lot, man. Gustafsson's 28 years old. You had another depth piece to Maddie's point that's on the younger variety of the piece on the blue line that you lost in Niskanen. And if you follow his career in Chicago, it's on the upswing. He had a phenomenal year this past season and one pretty good the year before. So I'm in favor of the signing. I think it's good. That's fitting sort of the mantra of not making the big splash, maybe make a deal during the season. And this sets you up so where you're not going to miss as much of a step as you would have without adding to that blue line after losing Matt Niskanen. I think it's a deal you had to do to shore up the blue line, and especially since you didn't go after Toffoli, because with the money that you saved from Niskanen retiring, he was set to make about $5.75 million this season, right? Toffoli was only signed for $4.2 million. So I'm not great at math, but I think that leaves a lot of room there still underneath that flat cap. The big issue is the years. He wanted years. He got 4 in Montreal, and I don't think the Flyers offer more than 2 years. That maybe even if you bump that up to 4.5 or 4.75. Still think that's an affordable piece for a guy that scored 14 points in 17 games for the Vancouver Canucks this season.
No, and I totally agree.
Guys, before you guys continue on, I will be right back.
Sounds good to me. I honestly like this Gustafsson signing for the Flyers. I think you're going to see a little bit more out of him than being a depth player. One of his strong suits coming from not only, I believe it was Calgary, but even Chicago. He has some offensive upside,
right? Which
is good because that's something that they need on the power play is a guy who can shoot it from the point. Gustafsson has a bit of a shot from the point too, so I mean that's got a huge upside. It's got he's got top 4 potential. Probably wind up being a top 6 defenseman, getting top 6 minutes. Who you'll see teamed up with Provy, I'm not really sure yet. That's still up in the air. Probably Ghost or maybe even maybe you see Sanheim up there. But I like the signing. It's an affordable deal. You're addressing a need after Niskanen retired, and I love it, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, because you had Pietrangelo was wooed by the Vegas Knights. That was a potential target when you knew he wasn't going to re-sign in St. Louis when they picked up Krug. I think, like I said, it's a guy that I've owned in fantasy and has been solid defender. He's great plus minus guy. To your point, good shot from the point, and yeah, I could see him on the second pairing as he slides in. Maybe move Sanheim up with Proby, and form an elite number one D pair. You have to see. Not all guys play well chemistry wise. You got to have the right handed shot. You know what I mean, to play left and right defense. So it'll be mixed and matched a lot, as we saw in the bubble.
Oh yeah, and you'll see a lot of that early on because these guys got to form chemistry because just as well as I do, Rob, it doesn't happen like that. So you'll see a mix and match. You'll see Sanheim probably with Proby with probably Gustafsson at one point. Mix and matched, and just see who plays well together.
Right.
So there were a couple other moves that I want to get your opinion on while we got Maddie away. The Bobby Ryan deal, going to Detroit on a 1-year deal.
I think it's phenomenal. You're adding a guy that got his life in order, and what translated off the ice translated right on the ice in terms of goal production.
Yep.
I think it's an area that Detroit was certainly deficient in. I think it's a guy that could take a Dylan Larkin, some of the other young pups there under his wing, and sort of guide them, tell them the mistakes maybe he made in terms of living a pro hockey player career.
Mm-hmm. No, totally agree. I love the move for Detroit. Detroit's done a lot. They've been very active. They also signed Troy Stecker, Thomas Greiss, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the other one. I got the list right here. I don't know why I don't just go back to my list. Vladimir Nemestakov, which I think is another good move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
great depth pieces there, and I love the Greiss signing too. They got him on the cheap.
Oh, absolutely, and it's just a bridge move. Kind of working that into the, I guess, trying to find a goaltending prospect if they don't have one already. I don't know their system as well as some of the other ones, but Taylor Hall signing, I definitely want to get your opinion on that one.
I kind of like it. I mean, like he is not living up to his number one overall pick. It's certainly not, and I don't think he ever will. But he had a pretty decent season out there in the desert, and he can bring some scoring ability. A guy that you could put on the Eichel line, and they could feed each other. Honestly, I think it's a good move for Buffalo.
Oh, I love honestly, I love the move for Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's going to be a move for him to really prove his worth as well.
Right.
Let's see.
Right? It was pricey for the 1 year, right?
Yeah, $8 million.
Yeah.
$8 million. Couple goaltender moves here I want to discuss or get your opinion on real quick. Jacob Markstrom going to Calgary.
Oh, I love that move. I mean, certainly he was a guy that Detroit was looking at before they went for Greiss. A lot of teams that were in search of a goaltender. Well, he had a phenomenal season, and I think he'll do very well out there in Calgary. I like what they're building there in what's the arena name? Oh man, why am I blanking?
The Saddle Dome.
Saddle Dome. That's right. Thank you.
They're gonna ride the saddle, baby.
That's on my bucket list to go to the Saddle Dome before.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
Let's see. We talked about Bobby Ryan, Radko. We don't need to talk about Henrik Lundqvist. Got your comment on that. Braden Holtby going to Vancouver.
I think that's good too. I think it's an opportunity for a fresh start. Get him out of his head. Get into a different country even, and play for a good organization. I like him as a potentially strong bounce back candidate out there in Vancouver.
No, I absolutely agree. They have a solid defense to play in front of them. They, with the Pietrangelo signing, you saw the Vegas Golden Knights trade away Nate Schmidt to Vancouver as well. So they've really bulked up on the back end. And I was big on Vancouver last year. I'm even bigger on them this year. I think you see them win a division spot this year.
Yes,
Oh.
sir. Yes, sir. Hey, while I have everybody tuning in, there's another reason why I came on the show, and that's to show off some new swag that I got. You tell me if you boys can see it. It's kind of hard to see on the smaller screen here, but
Bad things.
Hey, we match. Sort of.
Sort of.
Bad things happen in Philly, baby.
Does it go sideways? No, it does not. But yeah, you can get both the shirt that Brian and I am wearing at phillydrinkers.com. Excellent customer service that I had. Yo, what's up, Tommy? I made it. I made it, Dad. I made it on the show, barely. Yeah, no, I had excellent experience where you could set up notifications through your messenger, through email, and they guide you when the order goes through, when it's getting shipped out, no having to look up the tracking number. I basically heard the mailman and got a notification via messenger that my shirt has been delivered. I'm still waiting on one more that I'll hopefully whip out on tomorrow or next week's show. But yeah, phillydrinkers.com/ATD radio. See it on the bottom of your screen. Awesome products to scroll through. Man, I had to stop myself before I further indebted myself with my credit card.
Dude, Alex takes care of everybody. He's a great guy. Puts out good quality products there at Philly Drinkers. I know a lot of people love the bad things happen in Philly shirts, so they're a hot product right now. So you got to get them while they're there.
All right. So, did we finish up the free agency?
Got four.
signings?
No, we got 4 left.
Okay.
We got Patrick Marleau going back to San Jose for 1 year, which is an interesting move for me. I got a funny feeling you see him traded, though.
I could see it.
Yeah, when I heard that, I thought it was basically they're signing him back for maybe to play, maybe even to hang him up. You know, with the organization that was your mainstay. You know,
Yeah,
that's sort of the impression I got.
Yeah, the impression I get is going to be Justin Williams all over again.
Yeah,
he's going to sign a cheap deal. He's going to finish out the season, and then he's going to retire, just like Justin Williams did, retire with his team.
Yeah.
So next we got Jake Allen, after being traded to Montreal, signs a 2-year, $5.75 million contract to be Carey Price's backup.
That's a bit of a head scratcher. That makes you think that they're developing some question marks there in Montreal, and I don't quite know why. I mean, when you have a guy with Carey Price's resume, you ride him. He's your ride or die. You know what I mean? Just like Brodeur was in New Jersey, just like Patrick Waugh for the Nordiques and the Colorado Avalanche. Allen's a great backup. I mean, it's a good signing for the organization, right? But wasted money, no?
I kind of agree. I'm not exactly sure what they're thinking.
Prism has a good point.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. What's Prism saying?
Saying Jake Allen is going to be left exposed for Seattle.
Or Price will be exposed for Seattle. So, I mean, I could see either one happening. So, yeah, it's a great point by Prism.
Check out the big brain on Priz.
For me, I think they're trying to I think they're trying to build a team to compete now, because the next signing they have is Brandon Gallagher signing a 6-year, $39 million extension, I believe this afternoon, which I think is a great move for them. Brandon Gallagher's your Travis Konechny. You know, he's a guy that, you know, rely on for a little bit of chippiness, and you rely on him for a lot of goal scoring. And I think you lose him, you're taking a huge step backwards. So I think they're trying to put together a team that's going to compete now. I don't think they're trying to rebuild anymore. I think they're trying to go out and compete now. I think they saw what they had with the team in the bubble, and I think they're going to take it and run with it and continue to build.
Yeah, Gallagher really embodies what the Montreal Canadiens is all about. Blue collar, hard worker, energy, get underneath the skin. You know, Suzuki's right in that same build too. Maybe a little better skill set on Suzuki, but what Gallagher lacks there, he makes up in getting underneath the opponent's skin, getting in their face, getting in front of that net, and working in the dirty areas. Getting your hands dirty. So, good signing by them. It'd be interesting to see, how it shapes out in an 82 game. Do they maintain the success, or do they kind of divert back a little bit? Because some of this was the magic of the bubble. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get what you're saying, and they got a lot of good pieces in place, and I think we saw them really take that next step in the bubble, and I totally get what you're saying with the magic of the bubble, because you saw it with a lot of teams. But I don't know. I think Montreal competes, especially with the signings that they've made.
Well, in the division that they're in, the possibility is very much there. Because you think about it, middleweight teams, there are not that many in the Atlantic. It's really just the top 3 teams, which are Toronto, Boston, and Tampa. They're usually pretty much guaranteed to get one of those 3 spots. Whereas the wild card's kind of wide open. You've got Florida, if they ever want to get their shit together. And then you also have Montreal. That's really the 2 you've got. Because when you think about it, a lot of the other teams that are the midway are in our division. So it's just like, oh boy. So when you think about it, the possibility of Montreal being competitive in their division isn't as far-fetched as it may seem. I know some people would look at their record last year. It's like, well, they had a 500 record. Yeah, all right, fine. But they did show a lot in the bubble. I just think that with the way their division is and the way that they've been setting up, the possibility is very much there that they could be a frustrating team to deal with come the regular season. Are they going to win a division? Are they going to compete in the division spot? I don't think so. But the possibility of them being a bubble team is there.
No, I totally agree, because you still got tough teams like Boston, and they got better getting Craig Smith. You have Toronto, who made a bunch of signings, getting Wayne Simmonds and Jimmy Vesey and who's the defenseman they just signed, Zach Begosian. So they've made the additions that they needed, and they got a little bit grittier. And then Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. They've lost. Yeah, they've lost, but they're a team that's still gonna compete. They're still gonna be the team to beat in that division. But yeah, I think Montreal winds up being a definite wild card team. They'll definitely be in the conversation. And last but not least, we're finally at the last name on the list. Signed this afternoon with the Ottawa Senators for a 3-year, $15 million contract. Evgeny Dadonov, formerly of the Florida Panthers. Thoughts on this one, boys?
Senators trying to win something here, trying to do something here, making moves. Yeah, that's huge. I saw that, and I was like, what is Florida doing, letting Dadonov walk? I know my boy Nick Rodriguez, who we'll have on the show in the upcoming weeks. He was swept up in Miami Heat mania while the finals were going, but he's a big hockey guy, big Corsi guy too. Really into statistics because he's a big DFS player. So maybe we can talk to him about like just what the statistics means in terms of following your team, your favorite team or what have you. But Dadonov was his boy. I know this upsetted him.
Oh yeah, I agree. Ottawa's going to try and compete in the next year or two. They have the young guys in place, I think, and it's a shame because Tim Stützle actually just broke his arm in a game over in Europe, where I think they said he's going to miss 4 to 6 months. It was either 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 months. I don't remember which one it was, but I know he broke his arm, and it's so unfortunate because he's the number 3 pick in the draft. But luckily, he's a young dude. He's going to rebound, and he's going to be great for Ottawa. It's just a shame they're not going to get to use him right away.
They say Buffalo gets fucked by the NHL.
According to Stube, the international scout that is very familiar with Stützle, I remember when we talked during the prospect show saying that he was going to have to at least play another year, maybe even 2 in Mannheim, because just to develop before he gets to the North American pro game. This is going to put him behind that 8 ball a little bit.
A little bit, probably about a year behind. So,
yeah, It'll
I mean-
definitely be 2 now. What, like they were saying, 1 probably, maybe 2, and it's a definite 2 before you even see him in their juniors or AHL team.
No, absolutely. And like I said, it's a heartbreaker because Ottawa's finally putting themselves in a position to be a winning team. New uniforms, which I'm excited for because they look sharp. I love that logo. Always have. Just, it's just a heartbreaker because, Stetzel's a stud. He's going to be a stud.
One of my favorite players in the draft, behind Lafreniere.
Yeah, I mean, we all know who my favorite guy was, Marco Rossi.
Is that because he went to the Ducks?
Marco Rossi didn't go to the Ducks.
Oh no, you wanted him to go to the Ducks.
I wanted him to go to the Ducks. No, he went to Minnesota.
That's right. I forgot Minnesota took him.
Yeah. So what do we got comment wise there, Matty?
All right, so let's see here. We have a question that was asked by Don. We'll get to that in a minute. But before then, Prism saying Habs loaded. As versus Habs Stanley Cup final next year, Patrick Waugh will be in an awkward position. And then
they were the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup, so
that's
it'd
true.
be fitting.
Now, I'm going to do this to you, Bri, because I feel like it. Rosca saying, A2D Radio, I want Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton to the Ducks for the Stanley Cup.
First of all, Rosca, I don't understand. First of all, Marleau signed with San Jose, so he's off the market. 2, I believe Joe Thornton is still under contract with the San Jose Sharks as well. So that's not happening as well. On top of all of that, the Ducks are in a rebuild. They're in a rebuild. They're not going to compete for a cup. They're going to be lucky to not finish in the cellar again. Jesus. The idea of a rebuild is to get younger, not older. Come on, Rosca.
Load up on the bets.
I mean, it's bad. It's bad enough.
Cooking.
Dude, it's bad enough that we had to take freaking David Backes' contract, which fortunately we're not paying the whole thing. It's bad enough that we still have to worry about Ryan Getzlaf's contract. I love Getzlaf. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great captain. He's been a great captain. But his time's over. And unfortunately, that's a contract you can't really move. Maybe we get lucky and get to move him at the trade deadline, but it's a rebuild. We're getting younger. We got some great young talent. We got some guys that are ready to come up now. We don't need Marleau. We don't need Thornton. We're not going to be in the playoffs. We're not getting a cup for at least the next 2 to 3 years. Stop
3
doing
to 4,
this to
but
yourself.
Nope.
2 to 3. 2 to 3 will be back in the playoffs. 2 to 3 will be back in the playoffs. We'll have Drysdale back up. We'll have Drysdale up by then. We'll have Trevor Zagaris up by then. Max Jones will be a 30-goal scorer. No, I'm just kidding about that one. No, but
I see what you did there.
the Ducks will be in really good shape in 2 to 3 years. They'll be a competitor then. Not now, and we're not signing old men who don't deserve to be. Well, I shouldn't say don't deserve to be playing, but come on, Marlow's 41, and then Thornton's what 39, 40. Stop it, David. This isn't NHL 20 or 21, which comes out tomorrow.
And
Go get Taylor. Go get Taylor.
I know
Trade
you
all
had to
the-
do it. I know you had to do it. I know.
Trade all
I
the
get it.
youth
I was
away.
expecting it all day.
So let's see here. Pete was saying, "Yo, fam, sorry for the late check-in." Haha, get the joke.
What up, Pete?
What's up, Pete? And by the way, folks,
I'm not sure I
Pete joined in with me and Chrome earlier tonight on Lazy Booking with one hell of an interview with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Check that out after the show. It was
awesome. It was amazing. It was a great interview by you guys. So, yeah, definitely check that out after you guys are done with us.
And now Don saying, Brian, that's how I feel about the Wings for the 2 to 3 years. And then his question was, this is saying, before we go, give me 2 teams that have a big, crazy fan base.
Big, crazy fan base? Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
Winnipeg Jets have a crazy fan base. Their fan base is so loyal. And they came right back when Winnipeg came back. what? Oh my God, almost 10 years ago now.
True. And that team wasn't really that good because it was still the Atlanta Thrashers.
I want to say Detroit when Detroit plays well, but that's a tough one.
For me, I would say, I mean, obviously, you got to go with Flyers fans. I mean, we're pretty freaking nuts. Unfortunately, there's plenty of people who would say we're the shittiest fan base, but I argue that point. I think there are a few other fan bases that are shittier than us, like Boston. But,
Honestly, I would say probably the two craziest fan bases, I would probably say Winnipeg and Toronto, to be completely honest.
Toronto, yeah, that's a good candidate. Winnipeg's a good candidate. I would say I think Montreal. They can be snooty, but they're crazy. They're very, very much in love with their team. I would say another team that's got a lot of love for them. I mean, obviously, you have to go with the New York Rangers, who have been around for a long time. I feel like they've had a very strong fan base. I mean, yeah, they had their lean years, but I've always felt like there's always been a strong contingent of New York Rangers fans. I think but the craziest fans, I'm going to say in the New York area, it's not even the Buffalo fans. It has to be the Islanders fans. It has to be them because of the shit that they went through in the 90s. And like, oh my Lord. You go through that history during Mike Milbury's time as GM and having a scam artist own the team at one point. You tell me, would you not be willing to jump off the bandwagon and join the Devil's side? You would be very fucking tempted to do it.
Yeah, Robbie, who do you got?
Well, going based on a good friend of mine, Antonella, he's a big Islanders fan on Twitter. Yeah, they're pretty fucking crazy. You're right, Maddie. I talked about one already that's on my bucket list up in the Saddle Dome, Calgary, when they were making their push there, man, towards before the pandemic hit. That place was getting raucous, dude, and they got a history and a craving to get back to what's his name, Lanny McDonald days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mustache. And they're kind of getting that flavor back again. I think one of their players rocked that out, the same type of mustache during these playoffs. So, yeah, I'd say their fans are pretty crazy. But the number one craziest fans in the NHL, you ready? Nashville Predators.
The Predators.
I hate them.
Nashville got crazy during their playoff run.
I hate them.
Crazy.
Most annoying fan base.
They created this.
Yeah, 100%.
They created the Smashville moniker, which was kind of, I'm not going to lie, when I heard that the first time, I thought, that's really stupid. It's not very creative, but you know what? You guys haven't been in hockey for too long, so I'll let it slide. But then the catfish thing, I thought, okay, that's kind of creative. I'll give you that one. That one's a little creative. But anyway.
I mean, they took it, freaking octopus idea from Detroit, who Florida took the rat idea from Detroit, and it's just, let's wrap it up, boys. Let's get out of here.
All right, then. But one last thing, another crazy fan base, Vancouver. Has to be Vancouver because they've rioted twice when they haven't won the cup. And secondly, also, they celebrated like a parade when they won a playoff series. That's a crazy fan base right there.
That's a fan base that's desperate for a cup.
I just thought it'd be peaceful out there, man, with all the weed smoke out there in Vancouver, British Columbia. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, what? Definitely the originators. And and I don't know. When I hear Smashville, I think Dudleyville for some reason. So I'm good with it.
I love it. All right. Well, we thank everybody who chimed in, obviously. All the regulars, Don, Prism, Rosca, we had Sal. We had everybody chiming in today. Ricky, 215, who I think was new. Hadn't seen him before, so welcome. Ted came in today. Anthony, of course. And, of course, all the guys at A2D who were throwing the love, Chrome, Rob.
Giving me my VA trouble.
Yeah.
I was
judging me.
Going crazy over reading eons and eons of words, but I think Ricky knew me when I was chatting with him in the YouTube chat. So I'm not sure. I don't think he's new. I don't think.
Hey, it's all good. Even if he's not, it's all good.
Hey.
We love it.
Maybe the first time, long time. You know what I mean? First time commenter, long time.
First time, long time. Love it.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, so I will say right now, thank you everybody who has chimed in. And if you didn't chime in and you were just watching, thank you very much. We appreciate that as well. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to chime in, man. We always love getting more interaction from everybody else, man. So keep on bringing it out. Whether you're a Flyers fan, Ducks fans, or none of those, thank you so very much. And thank you, Ricky, for chiming in. Like I said before, man, thank you so very much. You guys are the lifeblood of A2D, and you're the lifeblood of this show. You're the lifeblood of all of this. We wouldn't be here without you. And if you wish to support us, we have been talking about them. These guys are rocking a couple of shirts from them. Let's give a little bit of detail on that. Bri, where can you go to support not only the show, but the whole A2D radio?
You can head over to Philly Drinkers LLC, phillydrinkers.com/A2D radio. You can get all your merch, hats, T-shirts. This is the hottest item right now. They got bad things happening in Philadelphia. You don't like this one? You like one like Rob's got? You don't like one that either one have? They have all kinds of different designs there, different colors. Eagle scheme, Philly scheme, Flyer scheme. They have all kinds of show shirts, stickers, hats, gloves, mugs. Fall lines coming out. I wish I had it. Otherwise, I'd show you. They have fall lines coming out. Fleece pullovers with the A2D logo on it. I wore it last week. Amazingly comfortable, warm blankets, socks. Philly Drinkers LLC, phillydrinkers.com. That's where you get all your A2D merch.
Just added too the Hockey Happy Hour shirt in orange. That's on the way right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick programming alert. We'll have to stretch this out a little bit. Ryan's computer crashed, so but we can't actually stop right now. We're gonna wait until it gets back up.
This is a little awkward.
Okay.
This is awkward.
Oh, okay. Hold on, I'm gonna text him real quick just to let us know when he's back on.
Quick discussion, Brian. Quick discussion.
Word.
Who's the big winner and who's the big loser? Did you guys cover that earlier in the show? From
Sort of, but not really. All right, let's do that real quick. Biggest winner for me right now would have to be Detroit. I realize they're not like the Stanley Cup favorite now, but they went out, they were active, they went out and got some good pieces there for, taking the next step forward. Biggest loser, maybe Nashville. I don't think they really did much, if anything. So maybe they're going back into maybe not rebuild, but possibly retool mode. Haven't really been active. I don't think I've seen them sign anybody.
For me, I will say I would actually argue the Habs. I think the Habs had I think they've had some really strong moves. Even if Jake Allen, whether he's there to protect or not, he's still going to be really good for if Price had a couple bad games, put him in there. Allen will be fine. Plus, also, they got Anderson. They really wanted Anderson. And on top of that as well, they got Brendan Gallagher, re-signed him, who's going to be the driving force. So I actually think that, they're the biggest winners because I think they got some real good pieces there and they got really good additions. So I have to give that one to the Habs.
Yeah, Robbie.
Hey, I asked you guys the question. I'm the interviewer. You're the experts.
I want to know. I still want to know
what you did
think.
there.
Oh, geez. I because of it happened today, Ottawa with the signed Donnoff.
Yeah,
I think that's
okay.
the edge. Plus a couple other moves. I don't think you're going to miss Bobby Ryan at all based on the moves that you did in terms of the plus minuses. I don't know, not to be contrary with Maddie, but I can't say Montreal's a loser. I just don't like the Jake Allen deal. I'll say San Jose. I get it that you wanted to be or nostalgic in bringing back Marlowe, but I don't know. I question that a little bit in terms of if you're trying to rebuild for the future. And, they obviously have a lot of work to do, and I didn't see much activity other than that.
No, that's a great. I didn't even think of San Jose. No, that's a great one.
Okay. So I
Testing.
think, bro.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
We got you, Brodo.
I'm fighting for my life over here.
Well, we appreciate that.
Whenever you're ready, man. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So we'll close out now. All right. Good stretch, gentlemen. Good job stretching for time there. No, Prism. I did not say the Habs were losers. I did not. I said they were winners. Just want to be 100% sure.
They're losers. They're losers.
They lost to us.
They don't even
they're
deserve to
losers
live.
to us in the playoffs. But other than that, but anyway.
Yeah, you're right, Coach.
I was trying to pick a fight with Maddie and call them losers when he called them winners, but I couldn't really do that besides the fact that I don't like the Jake. I mean, it's good. I mean, if you can get a quality guy to back up Carey Price, I get it. But no, I don't argue enough with Maddie, and sometimes I just want to slap him in the face. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So sometimes he needs it.
All right. So thank you all for chiming in. I think we're good now. Brodo, your internet's still on?
I think so.
All right.
We're fine.
Good.
I think we're good.
Good. Had to double check that to be sure. All right. So we thank you for chiming in once again. And for reals this time, we're going to head out. Once again, thank you to Prism. Thank you to Ricky, Don, everyone who chimed in. Thank you all so very, very much. We were brought to you by Philly Drinkers like these two gentlemen here were talking about. But we are also brought to you by Ambuck Services. Just a little bit of time left. Might want to try and get your deck restored. If you want to get your gutters cleaned, if you want to get the bushes trimmed, now's the time to do it. Take advantage of it while there's still a chance before the winter rolls in and we start getting snow. And after that, maybe you can have a little get-together for Halloween or what have you. You know what? Why not? And that's Ambuck Services. You give them a call at 856-879-5530. Yes, Robbie.
Real quick, this is a good time to hit them up because those leaves are coming down. They're filling my gutters, and you don't really think about it, and then you get that overflow from rain that could cause leakage in your basement. So it's a true trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Oh, Jesus.
I see what you did there.
No, but a serious note, though, that's the next sponsor I'm going to be hitting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, now's the time. Fall cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, Ambuck Services, give them a call, set it up, get it done. We thank you all for joining us here on the Hockey Happy Hour. Next week, well, now that we've gotten free agency up, if it dies down, I guess it's time we roll back into that draft series that we had to put on hold there before the postseason.
Cool.
All right, then. So we'll get back in. We'll put the drafting caps back on. Prism, hopefully you got all your butts ready to go because you know what? It's time to start grading again. But that's next week.
I still
right
think I
here.
got shafted, but whatever.
That's next week right here on A2DRadio.com. From all of us here, I am Matt Satsuni, along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly, who had lists for today's show. And well, right down below, joining in at the last minute there, none other than the broken one, Rob Poulia.
Kobe.
For the record, I'd like to see anybody else try and remember 51 names, 51 contracts, and 51 amounts. You stop it.
We thank you all for joining us for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We will see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, especially when you're going into a store, and we'll see you next week. Peace, everyone.